I remember at the age of 6, my mother teaching me how to give a proper handshake. We would sit there on my twin-sized bed, and it seemed like for hours, she would teach me how to give a proper handshake, how to shake a hand firmly with confidence and always look the other person in the eye. In addition to that, my mother also taught me the importance of opening up doors for women and also addressing elders with a handle on their first name. And for those of you who don't know what it means to put a handle on somebody's name, it means that you should not address an elder by their first name. You should always put something in front of it like a Mr., a Mrs., a Ms., a Miss, uncle, auntie, grandma, grandpa, papa, mama, cousin, reverend, deaconess, deacon, pastor. Something better be in front of that elder's first name, or else my mother guaranteed me that there'll be a slap at the back of it. By the time I was 10 years old, my mother was regularly pulling me out of school to take me to fancy restaurants so that I could learn table manners and etiquette, like which side of the plate silverware went on and which plate was meant for what. Growing up, I swear we would regularly have long talks in my bedroom about self-defense, about honor, about honesty, integrity, courage, and compassion. Later on, she would teach me that when I'm with a woman, I should always walk on the outside of the sidewalk. When I'm with a woman, I should always enter my home first, but I should enter other buildings last. That I should never say, to someone who's calling my name, but rather I should say yes, and never, under any circumstances, should I ever interrupt the conversation of an elder without saying, excuse me. And if that elder does not acknowledge my presence, my responsibility was to stand there quietly until they turned their attention to me and said, how can I help you? This code of conduct, these protocols that my mother was teaching me, they actually created boundaries and guardrails for me. Boundaries that I see missing in so many young people these days. The boundaries and rules that my mother created for me, it allowed me to define those people in those environments that demanded an extra level of respect and attention. More importantly, it allowed me to draw a line around the things that I valued the most. Because see, Glenda Bradley taught me that if you truly value something, you must respect it, you must protect it. Because if you treat the things that you possess like everything else, then the outside world is going to believe that you possess no value. See, how the world looks at you is how they see you treat the things that you claim you value. A flourishing society, a thriving community, always values its children, its women, its elders, its disabled, its weak, and its poor. Your disrespect of those things not only diminishes their value, but it diminishes you. See, if your environment does not require respect, if your community does not require respect, then how can I respect you, the person who actually lives in that community? See, you believe that you can live in trash without being considered garbage. Little did I know at the time, what my mother was teaching me was a code of conduct that she felt was necessary in the development of a young boy. More importantly, necessary in the development of a young Black boy. You see, what Glenda Bradley was teaching me was chivalry. In today's episode of Notes to the Sun, we are going to explore the origins, meaning, and the purpose of chivalry and why today it is so badly needed in the development of our young men. Let's chop it up. Welcome back to Notes to the Sun, everyone. I am your host, KGB. And as a quick reminder, if you like the things that we are saying on this podcast, if you love my beaming personality or this beautiful face, please do me a favor, like, comment, and subscribe. When was the last time you heard the word chivalry? For most of us, when we think of the word chivalry, it brings up images of knights and castles and men opening up doors for women. And for others, chivalry is some outdated relic of a world that no longer exists. But if we're being honest, for most of us, when we think about the word chivalry, we think about all the different ways in which a man should treat a woman. But what if we've completely misunderstood what chivalry was and is? What if chivalry was never about women at all? What if chivalry was actually about men, about discipline, about self-mastery, about honor? And what if one of the greatest problems facing young men today is that we've actually lost the importance of chivalry in our lives? When people think about chivalry, we often think about medieval Europe and knights, right? However, historically speaking, every society that has survived for any significant period of time, eventually we all discover the same things. And that is that our warriors, our soldiers, our men require a code of conduct. Almost every large civilization understood that it needed protection from the very same soldiers that vowed to protect that society. The warriors of a society, you have to remember, are often the strongest in a society. They are the most skilled in weaponry and the most skilled in combat. And it is because of this fact that societies understood that its military, its men, are not only the greatest asset to a society, but they are also the greatest threat. Ancient civilizations understood that uncontrolled strength becomes destruction, and power without principles becomes tyranny, and men without a code of conduct become dangerous not only to themselves, but everyone around them. Throughout history, civilizations have understood that young men, they possess an enormous amount of potential and power. And that same aggression that allows a man to protect, it can also cause him to destroy. And that same ambition that can build kingdoms can also exploit communities. And the same courage that can save lives is the exact same courage that can take them. It is because of this reality that nearly every civilization since the beginning of time has developed a code of conduct to guide its warriors, its soldiers, its men. And it's not because those individuals are weak. No, it is the exact opposite. It is because men are powerful, and power always requires discipline. Otherwise, men will use their physical strength to exploit and hurt the women, the young, the elderly, and the disabled of a society. Chivalry may be a European word, but the idea of chivalry has existed amongst every civilization since the beginning of time. Throughout the continent of Africa, you will find societies that had codes of conduct for its warriors. The Emiomoeso of the Yoruba, the 44 laws of the Mandingo, Shaka's military rules, or the Bidi Bagedo of Somalia. It is well documented that among many African societies, warriors were expected to protect their communities rather than dominate them. Strength existed in service to the collective. A respected warrior was not simply a skilled fighter, he was wise, disciplined, reliable, trusted, and he never retreated. And more importantly, he spared the spear against women, children, the elderly, religious leaders, the sick, or the wounded. In Japan, the samurai followed Bushido. Bushido emphasized honor, courage, compassion, integrity, respect, and self-control. A samurai's greatest battle was often the battle against himself. The Spartans built an entire culture around discipline. While history often remembers Spartans' military skills, what truly made them formidable was their commitment to sacrifice and duty over individual comfort. Then came the medieval knights, and with them came the concept that we now call chivalry. As I pointed out earlier, when most people think about chivalry, they kind of think about opening doors for women, but that's not chivalry. I mean, It is, but it's only one tiny expression of a much larger philosophy. See, the word chivalry comes from the French word chevalier, which means horseman or knight. And initially, chivalry was just simply a military code. But over time, it actually evolved into an entire moral framework. You see, eventually a knight was expected not only to follow a certain code of conduct, but he was also expected to protect the vulnerable, to keep his words, to display courage, to exercise restraint, to show humility, and to serve something greater than himself. You notice something about all of this? See, none of these virtues depends upon someone else's response. A knight's honor, a warrior's honor belongs solely to him, not to the people around him. This is where I think a lot of men and women may have lost the plot, because today people treat chivalry and they think of chivalry like a transaction. A man opens a door, a woman says thank you, everybody feels good, right? But that's not honor. That's negotiation. Real chivalry is never dependent upon gratitude. A warrior did not protect someone because they thanked him. A man of honor does not do the right thing because applause is guaranteed. He does it because it reflects who he is as a man. So a few weeks back, I'm at the gas station, and there's a woman who's in line right in front of me, and she purchases 2 large bags of ice. So she purchases the ice, but you actually have to go towards the door in order to pick up the ice. So after she pays for the ice, she goes to the door, and I see her grab these 2 huge bags of ice that she could barely lift up. Both bags fall onto the ground. She grabs them by the plastic, and she's literally scooting backwards out the door, dragging the ice bags on the ground. Sister. So I open the door for her, and she scoots out the door, doesn't say a word to me, doesn't say thank you, doesn't even acknowledge my presence. Cool. Once she scoots past the door, I go outside and I said, ma'am, do you need help with carrying these bags of ice to your car? If so, it's no problem. I got you. She looks at me, rolls her eyes and says, I got it. Okay, you got it. And I went about my merry way. It didn't offend me that she did not say thank you for opening the door. It did not bother me that she decided to drag those bags of ice across that hot concrete by herself, possibly busting open those bags. It didn't bother me one bit, because it was not about whether or not she was grateful for what it is that I was doing. The only thing that was important to me is that I showed myself that I am a man of honor. I showed myself that I am a man of strength, and I proved to myself that I am a good man, and anyone looking at me in that moment would have recognized a good man. It did not matter whether or not she accepted my display of chivalry. The only thing that mattered was that I displayed it. And that is the most important part of chivalry, is that you don't do it for anyone else. You do it for yourself, because that's the kind of man that you are. Far too often do I see men display acts of chivalry and women do not respond with some degree of gratitude, and then those men get upset. The problem is that your character should never depend upon another individual's behavior. If someone is rude, you need to remain respectful. If someone is ungrateful, you need to remain honorable. And if someone fails to recognize your virtue, you need to remain virtuous. You see, honor that requires validation, guess what, gentlemen? It's not honor. The door was never open for her. The door was open because that's the kind of man that you've decided to be. Now, while acts of chivalry do not require the recipient of those chivalrous acts to show some form of gratitude, I do want to address something, and that is this. Ladies, 9 times out of 10, when a young man is being chivalrous, he is displaying behavior that was taught to him by women. Chivalry, more times than not, particularly in the Black community, is taught by women. And the reason why is because women do not want to raise a man that grows up and treats women in a manner that they themselves would not want to be treated. They want to send men into the world that treat women in a way that they themselves want to be treated. So when a man is being chivalrous, when you are thanking him, you're not just thanking him, you are thanking the women in his lives, his sisters, his mothers, and his aunts. And when you accept an act of chivalry, it is not an acceptance of your weakness. It is an acknowledgement of his strength. Two things can exist at the same time. A man can be strong without you being weak. You can tell a man that he is strong without accepting in your own heart some form of weakness. By acknowledging and showing gratitude for a young man's chivalry, you are accepting that chivalry so that he may feel honorable. You are accepting that chivalry so that he may feel respectable. You are reinforcing the behavior of a good man. And if you don't do it, you have no damn right walking through this world and complaining how so few good men are out there. These are small acts in your mind, but in the hearts of these young men, it is huge. Learn how to accept it. Two simple words, thank you, is a very small price to pay to raise up good men in our community. So when I display chivalrous acts, if you want to say thank you, you're not saying it to me. You're thanking Glenda Bradley for raising a good man. There is a crisis in modern day manhood. Today, we have more freedom than almost any generation before us, and yet so many of our young men feel lost. Why? Because freedom without guidance is just confusion. For generations, manhood, we taught it through codes. And I understand some of it is imperfect, some of it requires evolution, but at least it provided direction. Today, so many of our young men, they know exactly what to reject, but they have no idea what they need to embrace. A man without a code is like a ship without a compass. He may move, but he rarely knows where the hell he's going. I often hear a lot of young people, and unfortunately some old folks too, talking about, I'm going to do me. In other words, regardless of the situation or the environment, they're going to remain the same. Ultimately, that's what they're saying. Little do they realize that they are admitting their own weaknesses when they make this claim. You see, any species that does not adapt or change to its environment is evolutionarily and genetically weak. The strength of a species is in its ability to move according to the dictates of its environment. An individual that cannot adapt to his or her environment is socially and intellectually weak. Historically speaking, African American strength was based upon our ability to adapt, to change, and to adjust to the ever-changing conditions of slavery, oppression, and discrimination. We survived because we have one of the most adaptable cultures in the history of mankind. Our history is like jazz, fluid, ever-changing, adaptive, and improvised. Keeping it real and vowing to do me, regardless of the situation, is not only anti-African, it is weak. Chivalry understands that your behavior must change and adapt to whoever and whatever is facing you. You must alter your actions according to what is in front of you. Changing your behavior is not a sign that you are inauthentic or disingenuous. It is a sign that you are respectful and have social and emotional intelligence. A civilization cannot survive if it is unable to adapt. Our communities will not be able to survive so long as we're trying to keep it real and just do us. The cemeteries and jail cells are full of individuals that decided that they were just going to do me. We must be able to adapt. We must be able to change based upon the environment that we are in and the people that are in front of us. We cannot speak to our elders in the same manner that we speak to our peers. It is disrespectful. It is without honor, and it is a sign of weakness. So how do we resuscitate chivalry? How do we create a modern day code of conduct for our young men? A code of conduct that does not mean pretending that women are weak or performing masculinity. A code of conduct that does not seek rewards or gratitude. A code of conduct that actually asks men whether or not their behaviors reflect the highest and best versions of themselves. So I've come up with 5 principles. 5 principles of chivalry that modern day men should probably adopt. And the first principle is respect everyone, not because they've earned it, but because you've earned your values. Principle number 2, keep your word. Be a man of your word. Your promise should weigh more than your signature. And if you say that you're going to do something, do it. Principle number 3, you must protect the most vulnerable and the weakest around you. Protection doesn't always mean physical protection either. Sometimes protection means protecting someone's dignity, protecting someone's respect, protecting your family, protecting your community, protecting your own integrity. Principle number 4, exercise self-mastery. The strongest man in the room is not always the loudest. Often, he's the most disciplined. He's the man that controls his temper, his desire, his ego, his impulses. Principle number 5, lastly, live in service. The greatest men eventually learn that life is not about being served, it's about serving. Now, while you do not commit chivalrous acts or you do not display acts of chivalry because you are looking for gratitude or you are looking for affirmation or some form of attention, the fact of the matter is that chivalrous men, we stand out amongst the pack. Facts. I've been able to navigate through life's waters not because I've been so disciplined or not because I've been such a great student. I've been able to do that simply because of the way in which I've conducted myself. As many of you may remember in my previous episodes, I shared that I did not get into college because I had such a great GPA. I got into college because of my behavior caught the eye of individuals that thought that I was a good young man and that I conducted myself well. And as a result of that, that they were going to sponsor and support my college education. I received scholarships from millionaires. I received internships from mayors. I received fellowships from Nobel Prize winners. I received money from billionaires and investment, not because of anything other than how I have conducted myself. So there are, in fact, rewards for being chivalrous. Just as a quick story, my middle child, his first job, when he went in, he had applied for a role at UPS, just in the warehouse. He was looking to just be a stock person. Because of the way in which he conducted himself during the interview, they offered him a managerial role. My son had 0 experience before taking that role, and simply because of how he conducted himself, they decided to make him a manager. So there are rewards for behaving in a chivalrous manner, but that is not the reason why we do it. It is not. We do it because this is the kind of man that we want to be. We want to be men of honor. We want to be men of principle. We want to be men of respect. So what I'm going to share with you today is something that's not necessarily chivalry, but it is a part of chivalry, and that is etiquette. Because once you have developed a code of conduct for what will be important to you in life, once you've developed a code of conduct in what it is that you are going to value in life, the next thing you need to do is you need to develop rules for how you will behave in various different environments. Because as I shared before, chivalry is about adapting. And so you need to be able to have rules for various different environments, and you must have rules for various different people so that your behavior can be chivalrous. And so what we're going to do today is we're going to be going over etiquette. And now many young men have never been taught etiquette, and that's shameful. And it's not because they're bad people. It's just because they were never taught. But we're about to change that.
Greeting etiquette. A. Always be standing when greeting someone. B. Always offer a firm handshake. C. Always give women the same firm handshake as men. D. Look people in the eye during your greeting. And lastly, smile. Conversation etiquette. A. Listen more than talk. B. Remember the name of the person you are speaking to. C. Remember key facts about the conversation. And never cross or fold your arms during conversation. Public space etiquette. A. Never litter. B. Put shopping carts away. C. Clean the front of your home and cut lawn. D. Play loud music only in appropriate places. E. Your voice should match your environment. F. Do not talk on speakerphone. G. Tend to your children at all times. H. If you have to, spit or urinate. Only do so in bushes. Dining etiquette. A. If you are unfamiliar with dining etiquette, ask server. B. Put your phone away and on vibration. C. Your voice volume should match the environment. D. Allow children and women to order first. E. Put your menu down when you are ready to order. F. Wait for all parties to receive their food before eating. G. Place napkin on chair if going to the restroom. H. Do not answer your phone at the table. I. Place napkin to the left of your plate when done eating. J. Treat server with dignity and respect. Lastly, always tip. Relationship etiquette. A. Put a handle on the names of elders and children. B. Hold the door open for the elderly, women, and children. C. Go into your home first before women and children. D. Never initiate physical contact with a woman other than handshake, unless you know them well. E. Never assist the disabled unless they are in need, or if they ask. F. Always give to the poor. Never discriminate in your giving. G. Walk on the outside of the sidewalk when walking with women. H. Always offer to open car doors or pull out chairs for women. Lastly, watch over children in your community as if they are your own. Self-care and personal etiquette. A. Be well groomed and bathe daily. B. Own a suit, tie, and collared shirt. C. Always be carrying cash or keep cash in your car. D. Always wear a watch. E. Always have a writing pen on you or a means of taking notes. F. Be skilled in self-defense or weaponry. G. Keep grooming tools like nail clippers, toothbrush, and deodorant in your backpack or car. H. Don't speak with food or gum in your mouth. And lastly, know how to cook, clean, and do your own laundry.
Guess what, young men? One day, nobody's going to remember how much money you made. Most people won't remember your car or the things that you possess, and they definitely ain't going to remember your follower count. But what they will remember is how they felt when they were around you. They will remember your integrity. They will remember your kindness, your courage, and your reliability. The purpose of chivalry is not to impress women. It's not to impress anyone, as a matter of fact. The purpose of chivalry is not to appear sophisticated. The purpose of chivalry is not to earn anything at all. The purpose of chivalry is to become a man whose character can be trusted and a man that is worthy of being remembered. So this week's notes to the sun is this: create a code, write it down, and decide what kind of man you wish to be. And then live those values so consistently that your behavior no longer depends on your circumstances. Because true chivalry is not what you do when people are watching. True chivalry is who you are when they aren't and when no one is saying thank you. This is another episode of Notes to the Sun. I'm your host, KGB. If you have any other ideas of what chivalry should look like in modern day, please make sure that you put those ideas in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe and tune in to next week. You all take care.